Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the video lecture series. We will continue the discussion of European realm from the book Geography, Realms, Regions and Concepts by Dibla, Muller and Nejman. In the previous lectures, we have talked about the four major aspects of European realm. Well, in regional geography, we generally study four aspects of every realm or every region. And the four aspects are the political aspects, the historical aspects, the physical aspect, and the cultural aspect. So we have discussed that for European realm as a whole, and now we will discuss the European regions. As we have discussed that realm is the largest possible unit of land on the basis of some homogeneous characters, which can be physical, which can be cultural, which can be political. Most of the realms are created on physical basis and then followed by cultural basis. So each realm is further divided into regions. So here we will have a look at the European regions. So as you can see in this map, there is a line drawn, the red dotted line. This is the modern division of European region, and according to this red line, the countries which are inside the red dotted line, these are the countries which make up the European core, or we can say these are the countries which are having main economic activities, or these are the richest countries of European realm. Then the countries which are outside this red dotted line, these are the countries which are having a lesser economic progress compared to the ones who are located inside the red circle. But if we look at the historical division of the European realm, then we see these five regions. Firstly, it's the Western Europe, then Britain and Ireland, Northern, or it's also called as Nordic Europe, Mediterranean Europe, and Eastern Europe. So let's have a look at that in a minimized map. So this is the map of Europe which shows the region. Even the historical regions are used even now, because those historical regions are made according to their location. So here the green colored ones, these are the countries which are located in the Nordic Europe or the Northern Europe. Then the pink ones are UK, Britain and Ireland. Then the yellow one is the Western Europe. This orange one is Eastern Europe, and these dotted countries are the ones which are kind of transition zones between Russia and Europe. This purple one comprises the Mediterranean Europe. Here I will just revise a concept that when we talk about the European realm, so this is the boundary of European realm, where we have Russia as a separate realm. But when we talk about the Europe as a continent, then half part of Russia is included in the European continent, but not in the European realm. In this book, the regions of Europe are named a little differently, although they have given the traditional names on the map, but when we have to discuss it, we have to discuss it with these names: the mainland core, Britain Island, discontinuous south, north. So in short, we can say that the mainland core is the Western Europe, Britain and Ireland make up the core offshore, then the discontinuous south is actually the Mediterranean Europe, the discontinuous north is the Nordic Europe, and eastern periphery make up the eastern margin. So this is the summary of the countries which are located in the European realm in different regions. These grey boxes show the regions, while these red boxes show the countries. So in Western Europe we have 8 countries. Britain and Ireland contains 2 countries, but within United Kingdom we have 4 different entities. Uh, and those are England, Scotland, Wales, and then Northern Ireland. In the Nordic Europe, we have 6 nations. In the Mediterranean or the Southern Europe, we have again 6 nations. In the Eastern Europe, we have the most number of nations, that is 19, and there are some smaller nations as well, like different islands and some disputed territories. So we can have a tip of learning these countries, that if we learn the countries of Western Europe, Britain, Ireland, Northern Europe, Mediterranean, then the remaining ones will be from Eastern Europe. And I think that memorizing the names of 6 countries is not a big deal. You can develop mnemonic with the first letter of each country uh, to learn these country names. Here is a table which shows the major cities of the realm on the basis of their populations. So the largest country in terms of population is Paris, followed by London, UK, then Madrid in Spain, Barcelona in Spain, Frankfurt of Germany, Milan in Italy, Berlin, Athens, Rome, and the list goes for the top 20 countries of European realm, top 20 cities of European realm. So now let's talk about the mainland core. So the first important country is Germany. And we have discussed in the previous video, I think, that Germany was divided into 2 parts, East Germany and West Germany, right from the city of Berlin, because of the Soviet impact and United States impact, and there was a wall of Berlin. So western side of Germany was very well developed, the eastern side was not well developed. So this is the map of the mainland core of the European realm. So here we see the largest one, France, and then Germany. Then if you look at Italy, here this red line is including half of the Italy in the core, while the other half is not in the core, and same as with Spain. So this is because northern part of Italy is more developed compared to the southern part, and similarly the countries which have half part in the core are partially developed. This is the reason this line is drawn like this. Okay, we have Germany, then we have France, and these 3 states, they're Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. These 3 states are together called as Benelux. The Benelux countries, BE from Belgium and E from Netherlands, and Lux from Luxembourg, a very tiny state of Europe. These small states like Luxembourg over here and Liechtenstein over here, these are called as microstates. And since Europe is a small region, a small realm which has 40 plus countries, so we have quite a few of these microstates in European realm. Germany is called as the economic leader of European realm. It is the economic leader, but France is larger in size. So why not France is not the leader? It's because although it has a very long coastline, but it does not have good natural harbor. This is the reason France could not progress as Germany did. Most of the water trade in France is done via the Seine River. And there's a special fact about France is that Paris, the capital city of France, is called as a primate city. Primate city is a city which represents the country's overall culture. एक ऐसा शहर जिसमें आप जाएं तो आपको लगे कि आप ओवरऑल उस कंट्री के कल्चर को देख रहे हैं। तो पेरिस इज़ वन ऑफ द बेस्ट एग्जांपल ऑफ प्राइमेट सिटी। एंड प्राइमेट सिटीज़ आर जनरली एंशियंट सिटीज़ जो बहुत ज़मानों पहले इस्टेब्लिश किए गए और रिच हिस्ट्री ऐसे शहर रखते हैं हमेशा। Paris is one of the populated cities of Europe, but it does not have many skyscrapers. The buildings are not very high, and this is done purposefully to maintain the beauty of the city. Since this realm is very large, it has a lot of countries, so we cannot discuss each and every country individually. But I'll try to share some interesting facts about different countries. So about Netherlands, it's a country which has most of its land lying below the sea level, and those areas are called as polders by the local people, the Dutch people. Rotterdam in Netherlands is called as one of the largest container terminals, sea terminals of the world. For in Belgium, Brussels is the city which has headquarters of many world organizations, and it has the headquarter of European Union as well. Now this is a map which shows the offshore core, which comprises of the United Kingdom and Ireland. United Kingdom is a combination of four geographical entities, four countries in fact. Firstly it's England over here, then it's Wales, third is Scotland, and then the Northern Ireland. London is another example of a primate city, and this city is significant because of Greenwich line, the imaginary line of 0° longitude. It passes through Greenwich town in London. London is also called as a world city. World city is a city which is very prominent throughout the world, and these are the cities which are very famous, and they have strong financial status. They have high technology in them, very well developed communication systems and engineering systems, and high level industries. And generally these world cities have a rich historical background, so like London and New York and some other cities. Now some salient features of the discontinuous south. So first important country in the discontinuous south is Italy, and recently the world was stormed by Italy due to the COVID-19 outbreak in that country and people dying in larger numbers. This country holds a very important position in the European Union. As discussed earlier, that half of the Italy is included in the European Economic Core, while the other half, which is the southern part, it's not included in the European Core, and the reason is that the northern part is well developed and the southern part is not well developed, and because of that Italy is sometimes called as two countries, with a progressive north, a very well developed north, and the south which is not very well developed. So this south of Italy is called as Mezzogiorno, and the line which separates the progressive north of Italy and the stagnant south of Italy is called as the Ancona line. Other famous countries of the discontinuous south include Spain, Portugal, Malta, which is a small island. So Spain is separated from the African continent with a very narrow water body, and that water body is called as the Strait of Gibraltar. The Gibraltar was the mountain where Tariq bin Ziyad, the famous Muslim conqueror, he stepped into Spain from that particular strait. And Pyrenees ranges are famous mountain ranges of this discontinuous south of Europe. This is the Mezzogiorno, the stagnant south of Italy. Rome, the capital of Italy, is a primate city, and somewhat nearing to a world city as well. An interesting fact about Spain is the Spanish football and the football league, which is called as La Liga. And within La Liga, the most famous footballing match is between the teams of Barcelona and Real Madrid, and that match is called as El Clasico. It's just like the match between Karachi Kings and Lahore Qalandars, or the match between Pakistan and India. So it's kind of an interesting highlight of the discontinuous South. Discontinuous South contains the countries which were affected by the fiscal crisis, and two of them are Greece and Portugal, while this is from the offshore core. Malta, the small Malta Islands, is famous for its tourist industry, and Malta is a combination of small islands, and a combination of a small island is called as archipelago. So Malta is a country which consists of archipelago. Greece is known as the birthplace of European civilization. Cyprus is another country in the discontinuous south in the Mediterranean Sea, and there's one interesting fact about Cyprus, and that is its flag has its map drawn on it. So that's something special about Cyprus. Now the next category of the countries are called as the Balkans. These countries are located in the Eastern Europe. Balkans are located near the Balkan Mountains, and these are the countries which are highly unstable politically, and that's why this region is called as the Shatter Belt. And because of the highly unstable politics over here, a new terminology came into existence, which is called as Balkanization. And the term Balkanization means redivision of a region, the recurrent division, formation of a country and then formation of another country within that country, then more regions. So this phenomenon is named as Balkanization. Here is a map of Balkan countries, which includes Serbia. So I tried to make a mnemonic to memorize the Balkan countries with the statement, with the mnemonic statement, which is school, children, broke, milk, kettle, and mug. So this S, C, B, M, K, A and M are the beginning letters of the Balkan countries. So let's see how it goes. Serbia, school, then Croatia, children, then move there. It is going in an anti-clockwise order from Serbia to Croatia, then Bosnia, then Montenegro, milk, kettle, Kosovo, Albania, and Macedonia. So these are the Balkan nations. Some of the countries in the Balkans are Muslim countries, for example Kosovo, Albania, and there is a fair amount of Muslims in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Here it's already written Muslim domain, this particular part, and then this part Muslim domain. Now let's discuss some facts about the discontinuous north, which is also called as the Northern Europe or the Nordic Europe. The regions of Nordic Europe, the countries of Nordic Europe are called as the Scandinavian nation, and the region itself is called as the Scandinavia. Here is the map of Nordic Europe, the countries which are located in Scandinavia. It includes Iceland, right at the top. It is shown in a separate frame because it's situated right in the middle of Atlantic Ocean. So Iceland is included in discontinuous north, then Norway, Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania here, and then this Denmark. So here's an interesting mnemonic to memorize these countries. Nobody saw fish eating large lollipops. So N for Norway here. Nobody saw Sweden, fish, Finland, eating, Estonia, Latvia, large, Lithuania, lollipops. And then the remaining two are Denmark and Iceland. Scandinavia is the region which is close to the Arctic Circle, and this is the region where it seems that the sun stands for days. The whole air looks like moments of a single day. Like if it's dawn, dawn stands for weeks or months. Then if it's noon time, it stands for weeks. Then if it's afternoon time, it stands for week. The sunset, the dusk time, it seems that it has prolonged. So this is the beauty of Scandinavia, and this phenomenon is more prominent in Norway and Sweden. The capital of Sweden, Stockholm, is another example of a primate city. Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania are called as the Baltic states since they are located at the shore of the Baltic Sea. Although Poland also borders with the Baltic Sea, but Poland is not called as a Baltic state. The reason is that Poland is itself a very large country, and these three are micro-states, and these three are different as compared to the other surrounding countries which are in peninsular form. Let's talk about the eastern periphery now. So in the eastern periphery, the region between the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea, this particular region, which includes Belarus, Ukraine and some parts of Latvia and Lithuania. This region has been named as Bloodlands by some historians, and the reason is that famous dictators Hitler from Germany and Joseph Stalin from the Soviet Union, they both carried out their murderous work, merciless killings in this area. A lot of blood was shed in this region. This is the reason it had been named as Bloodland. In the eastern periphery, we have the central portion, which starts from Poland to Slovakia, Hungary and finally Slovenia. These four countries comprises the East Central Europe. If we try to locate different countries of Europe according to its sub-regions, then we see we have the separate peninsular south, then from France to Germany. France and Germany, if we look at France and Germany and all the surrounding small states, they make up the western part of European realm. And the eastern side, eastern periphery, it starts from Poland. So Poland and just below Poland, the four countries, if we go from Poland to these nations, so we can say that these countries from north to south extent, that makes up the East Central Europe. Then after the Poland, Slovakia, Hungary and Slovenia, we have this row of countries. And again it's interesting to see that we have north to south division of the countries. It makes location of European countries a little bit easier, as Europe appears quite confusing, but if we try to learn and locate the countries according to their arrangement, it becomes a little easier. So to memorize the four countries of East Central Europe, we have the mnemonic of puppy smacked honey saucer here. Puppy smacked honey saucers. Now this map shows countries of eastern periphery, and which is further divided into the southeast and the eastern flank. Here Romania, Bulgaria, they both make up the southeast of the Eastern Europe, and Belarus followed by Ukraine. These two comparatively bigger countries make up the eastern edge of the European realm. Again, if we try to locate these countries on the map, we can start with the smaller, comparatively smaller nations of Latvia, Lithuania, which were called as the Baltic states. Just below the Baltic state, there is a slightly bigger state, which is Belarus, and just to the south of Belarus, we have Ukraine, which is the largest European realm country, and then we have the tiny Moldova. It's a landlocked state, so this can be called as a part of the eastern flank. So mnemonic for learning these countries of the eastern flank and southeast, the mnemonic is balloons under mighty rhinos burst. So balloon under Ukraine, mighty Moldova, rhino Romania, and burst is for Bulgaria. Now there is another exception in the European realm, and that exception is Turkey. Generally Turkey is considered as a part of Europe continent, but it is not a part of European realm. Just like Russia, half of Russia is a part of Europe continent, but Russia is not a part of European realm. So we have seen the countries of Europe. We at least tried to name all of them. So we see it looks like a civilized kind of a realm, but within that civilized realm there is an exception, and that exception is Roma. Roma is called as the Europe's stateless nation. The people, the group of people who do not have any state, any piece of land to their name, but they are found in a very large number in European realm. So approximately 14 million people, more than 14 million. So those people were initially called as gypsies, but now the proper name Roma is given, and these people are spread across Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, Slovakia, and Czech Republic. So that means towards the eastern side of the European realm. So this is an exception, and that's all about the European realm. I hope you have learned a little bit about the European realm in these lectures. See you in the next lectures. In our next lecture, inshallah, we will discuss East Asian realm. Till then, Allah Hafiz, and thank you for watching.